Yeah, another visit to the garage. So, been a busy day today because I've been getting ready to leave for Andorra for the season. So I decided to spend half an hour just chilling out, having fun with this instead. So let's see how I get on. I'm kind of stuck with cantilever bolts, unfortunately. I'm going to have to try and find some, preferably before I go, which is only in 4 days' time. So I'd really like to get this finished before I go, and it'd be very annoying if it was just a cantilever bolt that stopped me from finishing it. Fitted some more drivetrain components there, so let's just quickly show you what we've done. So first off, Suntour XE Pro rear mech. That is a X-Display model, apparently. Never been used, which I can believe, but it's got a few little scrapes on it, but it's virtually new old stock. Brand new front mech there as well, XE Pro. So the only parts of this drivetrain that aren't new, so as I was saying, the cranks themselves are new and unused, as is the bottom bracket, and the front mech, and the rear mech, and the cassette, and obviously the hubs themselves are brand new. So we've got almost a new drivetrain here. What we don't have that's new is, like I was saying to you before, the chain rings are in such good condition that it seemed criminal not to use them. I mean, okay, there's a little bit of anodizing missing, so they're not absolutely as new. I mean, they've still got the original sticker on. I mean, that came off my bike when it was about a week old. So it's in pretty good nick, that set of chain rings. The other thing which I have reused, because they're stupidly expensive, and when I cleaned it up, it's not in bad nick, is the chain itself. So I don't know whether I can get that into focus, it's kind of tricky. But that is a Suntour XE Pro chain. Now, bizarrely, that was actually still fitted to the bike. So that chain has been on this bike probably since it came out of the bike shop, which is pretty cool. So I like the idea that it's showing some of its original characteristics. Yeah, I think it's quite cool to show that it's got some history. Next up, let's carry on and get some stuff onto these handlebars because they're looking a little bit naked there. So I think once we've got those on, this is suddenly going to look an awful lot like a hell of a lot of a bike, because there's actually very little left to do. So we've got the controls to get on, grips, which are going to be a 90s style faff with a can of hairspray. Got to get those brakes sorted out, obviously, with some cantilever bolts. Cables, pedals have got to go on. But apart from that, we're very close to getting there. Now these are pretty cool. So this actually is a brake pack, and it's still got, this is so just crazy, it's still got all the original things like original straddle cables. You've got the instructions in here. A lot of these things have come with the instructions, to be fair, but this even has brand new brake cables, which are obviously prehistorically old. So Suntour XE Pro brake cables, and most importantly, of course, some nice shiny new brake levers. So trying to recall whether with the Suntour stuff back in the day, you used to run the levers inside the shifters or outside the shifters. I've got a feeling, so they're 2-finger levers. I've got a feeling they were actually outside the shifters on these, because yeah, the shifter body isn't going to sit very close to that at all, so they must have been on the outside. So shifters on first, brake levers on second. This was a bit of an investment, but it basically came about through completism. These aren't as expensive as they could have been, but these have come from, I think these came from California. California? Or were these from Germany? I can't remember. Anyway, these aren't completely brand new, but they're very close. These are the, I guess you could almost say, semi-legendary Suntour XC Pro pedals. Famously, they were one of the lightest pedals ever made. They're just beautifully light. These also have the grease guard system that we've been talking about, which means that obviously you can grease these without taking them apart. This set isn't quite new, but it's very, very close to it. I mean, if you look at the actual pedals, the actual pedal bodies themselves, they're very, very clean and tidy. You know, the axles, yeah, they look like new. The only sign that they're not new is that the graphics on the ends there, which again on my set that I had back in the day, kind of, actually I had XC comps. I had XC comps on so my bike was all XC Pro. No, it did come with these. It did come with these, but it came with the black version. That's what it was. But these labels come off after just a few rides anyway, and these have still got 97% of their labels still attached. So these are famously stupidly expensive. If you want to buy a proper new old stock set, you're probably talking, I don't know, what do you reckon guys, 250, 300 quid, something like that for a pair of these? These were nothing like that amount of money, but they were still quite a chunk of change. And like I say, really just due to my sense of completism. I guess now the other thing I've got, which needs to go on, are some toe clips and straps, which obviously are abhorrent things. They are the devil's spawn, and will no doubt cause me to fall on my face the first time I ride this bike. But if you want to run the XC Pro pedals, you've got to run toe clips and straps, and that's what we had in 1990, because that was about the time SPD first launched. So I had to make a decision whether to go for an SPD pedal or whether to go for the XC Pros. And these are just such pretty lovely things. And I was struggling to find a set of Shimano SPDs from the period that were in good condition. So we're going to go down the toe clips and straps route. So as you can see, we're getting there. So we now have quite a lot of bike together. So there's the bar setup for you. So the original grips were slightly different, but the WCS True grips that I've fitted here are very similar to what it came with originally. They were a foam grip. Like I say, I've got problems with this brake area here because I've managed to find one brake bolt to fit this one with, but it's a bit of a rusty one, I guess, so I need to find some brake bolts for the front there. So yeah, we now have WCS True grips, we have XC Pro brake levers, which are very lovely things, and we have Suntour Express shifters. Now, if you're not familiar with these are basically the precursor to rapid fire. So these were, I think, a new innovation in 1990, if I remember correctly. I think you could still get Suntour thumb shifters as well back then. I was having trouble with the light here to try and give you a good view of it, but yeah, so those are express levers, so you push one and the other one comes towards you, which actually I think is a really cool idea, actually. The fact that one lever moves on a ratchet in relation to the other, that's a great piece of design. And you know, look at the attention to detail. You don't get this kind of stuff on modern kit. You've got a rubberized finish on the shift levers. Really nice. So yeah, we've got the front end is all set up there. Like obviously we saw before, the XC Pro headset is in. Yeah, so that's in place. Like I say, I have got this concern about the head tube being slightly flared, so I'm going to probably have to get that sorted out. Then we've got our flight tie saddle. I have discovered that the seat post, which I've got here, I thought was a 27, and it's not. It's a 26.8, and it's slightly loose in the frame, so that's going to need replacing. Whether I'm going to get a chance to get one of those before I disappear off to Andorra for a few months, I doubt. The quick release, unfortunately, a little bit rusty. I'd like to get something which looks very similar to this original one, just less rusty, obviously, which is why I bought the one which doesn't fit, which is very frustrating. Just to have a quick look, yeah, so here's the new one, and it's got a really chunky bolt through the middle there, which just doesn't fit through the small fitment on the frame. So we've got our Suntour self-energizing brakes installed. Obviously no cables yet, so we can't get them working. So that's going to be, next job is going to be cables. But yeah, the drivetrain is all on, and very sexy it looks too. Very excited to see XE Pro back on a bike after all this time. I do love this stuff so much. And as I was showing you the other day, we've got the Campag ATEC rims, which as you can see are very pretty actually. So yeah, I wish Campag still made rims because they did make them very well. Smoke Classic at the back there. And we've got our dart up at the front, and very importantly obviously we've got our labels aligned. So I actually built these wheels myself. So just make sure when you're building, if you're going to build a wheel, make sure you get that gap in the spokes in the right place, because that's what most people do wrong, is they end up with the valve hole in the wrong place. And my mate Julian came around and went, "Oh, you've built these wrong," because he hadn't realised that the label was offset from the valve hole. So actually I haven't built them wrong, I built them absolutely right, but the sticker's in a weird place, because normally you'd find they would label a sticker, they would put the label around the valve hole on most bikes, but yeah, on these Campag rims, that's not what they did. So let's head up and have a look at these pedals I've just fitted. So yeah, fitted with those abominations, which are toe clips and straps, unfortunately. See how long it takes me to face plant the second I ride this thing. So yeah, these are XE Pro pedals. Gosh, they're sexy. Yeah, they are a thing of beauty, those pedals. They are very, very lovely. Like I say, it's actually just the stickers that are damaged on these, which is why they were a little bit cheaper. They're not too bad. Yeah, I can live with it, considering I saved myself probably about 200 quid by having slightly scratched stickers. What you can't get anymore is you used to be able to, when I had this bike originally, my toe clips and straps, made by the same company, Zephyr, were branded as Zephyr, but now they brand them as Christoph, which is annoying because they're not quite the same, but hey, pretty close. So all in all, we're starting to get there. So there's a few little finishing touches to do, and once we're there, I'll give you another update, and we'll get this finished off in some more time lapse for you pretty soon.